And even here in Asheville, not too far from here, a young man was beaten for the idea of jaywalking there across from the ballpark. Justice has to be done. And I feel, looking at this great crowd, so many of you, and so many of our white, even we hate to even express that way, but that is the way America is. But to look at you, you want to change. You are willing to fight with us. All these young folks, white and black, rich and poor. As Dr. Grant said, not justice. I'm a Baptist preacher.
Good afternoon. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Esther Manheimer. I'm the mayor of Asheville. This is Pastor Ray's fault. He does this. Right. Well, I'm not talking yet. I'm trying to talk. I just want to tell you, thank you for coming. Sure. Obviously, I'm not my best self right now. We are a nation. This is my rabbi. We are a nation that is grieving, and it is important for us to come together to heal. And I'm going to talk about something specific here. To that end, to that healing end, in the last 24 hours, I have focused on gathering clear information about what has happened 2 nights ago when a medic station was destroyed by police. And having learned now more about that, I want to share my reaction. As your mayor, yes, but above all as a human being and a white woman who is committed to the cause of anti-racism. I'm a human, and I know when I see right and when I see wrong. And what happened to George Floyd was murder at the hands of people with power. Yes. And what happened here in Asheville to Johnny Rush was a crime, and more than that, a violation of human dignity.
Yes. Yes.
And what has happened to countless other Black and brown people are criminal human rights violations. The destroying of a protester's medical station in Asheville earlier this week was wrong, it was senseless, and it only serves to reinforce those feelings of mistrust, hurt, and anger. We need a society where people can trust, where they can have faith and be able to believe that they will be governed fairly, with respect, with dignity. And those in power will not abuse their positions and cause others to suffer. We are still learning, and we are still listening. I'm the first to admit that I don't know much about policing. My dad was a college administrator. My mom was a librarian, and I didn't grow up with anyone in my family in policing. I've had to learn a lot on the job, and I'm still learning. But what I see clearly is that we are still hurting people we should be helping.
Yes!
And that must end. We cannot be silent, especially if we are in positions of elected office and power. We are trying to become a better city. We are trying to become a better nation. But we have a long way to go. This may well be the work of a lifetime, more lifetimes. But I am here for it, and I am committed, and I know you are. Together, we can do better, and we will. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good afternoon. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm the sheriff. For those of you who may not have had the opportunity to hear my comments or my statement, I would like to read that to you, and then I'll have a couple of other comments that I would like to share with you. So I stated, law enforcement should not and cannot condone the abuse of authority by fellow officers. When an officer acts in a way that is clearly violates the law, as with the death of Mr. George Floyd, they must be held accountable. This means not just losing their jobs as sworn officers, but that accountability also must extend to law enforcement being charged by the criminal justice system. If I'm going to talk to our community in Buncombe County about 21st century policing, then I am obligated to speak up when obvious injustice happen at the hands of law enforcement. I will tell you that the death of Mr. George Floyd is such a time. So that was my statement. So I will tell you, for those of you who have been in contact with me or have communicated with me, I normally fall back to what you know, when you know, and what you do. So we can definitely see that there's injustices. This is when did you know? We've been doing this as a country and as a county for a long time. And so when we get into what are we gonna do about it, you know, we've seen the peaceful marches and we've seen some actions that I would tell you I can't condone those either because those are illegal. But I will tell you, we must now do something other than talk, other than make statements, other than just sign papers and say, hey, we're gonna do something. So what I call upon Buncombe County to do is this. We may not be able to change this nation, we may not be able to change the state, but we can change what happens in Buncombe County. If we're willing to make the bold statement to come together and have difficult conversations, be honest and truthful in those conversations, I will tell you that we have an opportunity to make this something positive for this county. And in doing so, we have the opportunity to be a role model for this nation. So I ask today, please hold us accountable. I ask today, please help us in fixing what's wrong. And I also want to be transparent about as we do this. So as we start this, we must have people at the table in the beginning not at the end. We don't want to bring you some resolution, or we don't want to bring you some solution. You need to be a part of the solution and the resolution. So in closing, I would just say this, that for me, this has really touched me personally. I intentionally didn't look at this film or look at the video. And one morning my wife told me they was come and look at something on TV. And when I looked at it, I had to go and sit down because it broke me down. It made me cry. Because I've been doing this for over 30 something years. And I would tell you, I've never seen anything like that. I would tell you that that's not in any training that I've ever seen or been a part of. I would tell you that this was in fact someone who abused their powers.
Yeah.
And I also would tell you that it hurts me because I've been a dedicated person to the profession of law enforcement. And there are good law enforcement officers out here who come today, work every day. They put their life in harm's way for us. And I will tell you that, they are hurting also. So don't think that all of us are the same. And don't think that all of us look at that and don't see the problem with it. And don't think that these guys who are standing out here doing, what we feel to keep order and peace, don't think that they don't have their own personal feelings about what happened. Some of this is us having to be a part of a system. But that's what has to be addressed, the system.
Yes!
And you have to help us address the system. So thank you, and please continue to pray for all law enforcement. Pray for the ones who have been standing out here, in front of the police department for the last 3 or 4 nights. And I would just tell you, I would thank all of you who have protested peacefully for you, the boldness, the courage to stand up in this time. Thank you.